guys, welcome to Witchy Wednesday. This is number 3, I think. Last week we were talking about what this series is going to be about, what we're trying to do, and so on and so forth. Lots of people in the group, it's so exciting. The Facebook group, there's like nearly 40 people there already, and we haven't even started yet. So that's just fantastic. Ace! Keep coming! If you're interested in joining the Facebook group, it is a closed group, so people can see that you're in the group, but nobody can see anything that's posted unless they're in the group as well. The link is down there. And the basic premise of the group is that we're going to create a book of shadows. However, you can interpret book of shadows in any way you want. You don't have to be Wiccan or Pagan or a witch or whatever. You don't even have to call it a book of shadows. You might be a devout Christian and want to create a book of angels. That's absolutely fine. You might want to create a book of prayer. You might want to create, I don't know, a book of positive statements. It really doesn't matter what you want to create. The only criteria for joining the group is that you are tolerant of other people's beliefs. I will not stand for people denouncing other people's beliefs or whatever. You believe what you believe, other people believe what they believe, agree to disagree. That's the only criteria for being in the group. If you're not prepared to do that, you're not welcome in the group. But of course you are welcome to follow along here if you want to do something on your own, in your own private way. Absolutely fine as well. Happy to have you along. Do leave a comment below so I know that you're there and I can say hello. I have no problem with anybody who doesn't want to join the group. That's absolutely fine. Some people just aren't sociable. Some people just prefer to work alone. Some people just, you know, they don't like the idea of doing spiritual stuff with other people who don't have the same beliefs. That's perfectly fine. What I wanted to look at today is kind of preparation. I talked last week about my current book of shadows, which is yeah, I've moved it again. It's somewhere. Hang on, let me go and get it. This is my current one. Whew. Had to run into the other room to go and get it. It's a bit chunky, as you can see. I'm not going to show you what's in it, but you know, I collect pictures and I write in it, and I've got lots and lots of writing in here. Lots and lots and lots of writing and drawings and pictures and what's here? Cutouts and printouts and right the way through to the back, and I've got at the back here I've got various different writings and shenanigans and more cutouts. You get the idea. Just absolutely loads of the stuff. And I've done some pages that are very plain with a little bit of decoration, and I've done other pages that are extremely decorative. But the truth of it is that it's a bit old and it's full. It's got about 3 blank pages at the back. And I'm keeping that for writing an index and also for marking off what is still relevant, because there's an awful lot of stuff in here that is no longer relevant to me. I don't need it anymore. So yeah, the first thing I'm going to do is go through what I've currently got. This and my 2 lever arch files. I've got one lever arch file full of printouts and writings. Probably the writings will just get filed, and everything else I'll just go through and see if there's anything I want to keep and shred the rest. And I've got one lever arch file full of just printed stuff, or stuff that people have given me, leaflets that I've picked up at conventions and stuff, all sorts of things. So I've got to go through all that and again see what's worth saving and what isn't. And then I've got 2 lever arch files, one for astrology and one for tarot. So the first thing I need to do is decide what I want from my books. And what I've realised is that what I really want is a pretty book. Who doesn't? Who doesn't want a pretty book of shadows? Or a pretty spiritual book of some sort? it's my inner artist is just saying, oh, make it pretty. So, yeah, that's what I'm going to do. I've got 2 books that I'm going to use. One is a Book of Shadows, one is going to be my Book of Moons. And I'm also going to have a Book of Mirrors, but that's combined with something else. I'll get onto that in a minute. However, one does not simply whip up a Book of Shadows overnight. We're talking about doing this as a year-long project, and I doubt it'll be finished for me then. Well, it won't be finished. It's a lifelong project, but you know, I can get a good chunk of what I've already got, and I want to keep into my Book of Shadows by the end of the year, I reckon. But of course, it's one of those things that you're always learning. So, in between times, I need somewhere to put stuff that I find, write stuff that I think, and make notes on stuff that I read or listen to. And I don't want to do it straight into a really nice book when I'm trying to make it pretty and arty, because although I do draw, I don't want to have to think and make it pretty at the same time. I like to think about things, ruminate on things, research things, put 2 and 2 together, collect lots of information, and then rewrite it all in my own words to make sure that I understand it. And of course I can't do that straight into what is supposed to be a really pretty Book of Shadows. So, I spent this weekend last weekend rather, setting up 2 books which are going to be what I've called my workbook of shadows and my workbook of moons. See where I'm going with that? And into those I will put, let me put this down, it's heavy. I will put bits and pieces that I'm finding or researching or using or doing or whatever while I'm creating my Book of Shadows. And it's even possible, because I've had so much fun playing with it this weekend, it's even possible that I might actually keep it going afterwards and keep it as a small folder, because in the format it's in now, it's not like a big lever arch file where you just keep shoving things in and eventually you get to the point where you can't close it anymore, so you just slide things in and then you say, oh, I haven't got time to go through that, and you just buy a new lever arch file. I don't want to do that. I want to be able to keep it under control and regularly go through it, collate, that's the word, collate everything together, and put it together into my Book of Shadows as one cohesive thing. So I have set up, well, yeah, I call it my workbook of shadows. It's basically a Pagan Filofax in a nifty purple. I'm not actually sure if this is the purple or the ultra. One's purple and one's ultraviolet. This looks blue on camera, but it's very, very purple. It's actually the same colour as my top, but on camera it looks a completely different colour. So I don't know. This might be the ultraviolet and the purple is maybe more pink in tone. I'm not sure. Anyway, it looks purple to me and I'm happy with it. It is a A5 domino. I love it because it has really, really big rings. I was using this... Oh, hello, Miss Maddie. Hi there. Hi. I was using this for work archives, but I've since done something better with my work stuff, and yeah, I've put that into a different one, and I've got my one that I was using before, my compact penny bridge, and I've got another one that I'm using as an archive and it works much better for me. So this one was spare and I just had loads of bits of paper in it that I'd put in there. I thought, aha, I could use that for notes, and then I got all excited and this happened. Oh, it's not got much in it yet because I'll work on it as I go, but I don't want to turn this into another creative project. I want just something I can play with just something I can have a bit of fun with. Whereas I want my Book of Shadows to be quite ornate and pretty and decorative. This I just want to be able to stick stickers in if I feel like it, you know. So I've got some cards, I've got some of Rhoman Marie Smith's art pops there, I've got some basic grey cut tags there, I've got a A gorgeous girl pad. My flatmate bought that for me for Christmas. Isn't she cute? She got me a whole set, like a writing set and a little notepad and a set of tins, stacking tins. And she said, she's a goth girl and she stood on a stack of books. What could be more appropriate? The paper inside is really cute. It's got little stacks of books on. And it's this really nice cream paper, so I thought that would be nice to use for just little bits and bobs. And fold this back on itself. This is one of the reasons I really like using this one, because I can fold it back on itself easily. I've just got a little marker there. It's got a fox on it and it's cute, and I'm not using it for anything else, so I shoved it there. That's all. My black ruler, I don't use this for a marker, I just use this for hole punch guide. I've actually said about that in a video, I think. Might have been in Monday's vlog. Then I've got a protective envelope with, this is actually writing paper, but I really like it. It's got foxes on and little green leaves and woodland stuff and little mushrooms. It's so cute. And on the back I've got some bits that haven't got holes in that I've just popped in there. And then this is my list. This is my work list of what I'm going to do. So basically this is my main book of shadows, my list of what I'm going to put in there, and this is this one, and then this one is my main book of moons, and this is this one's equivalent, which is that. I'll show you that in a minute. So I'm planning in my main book of shadows, I kind of want to split it up into groups that will work, and I need a big section for spells and rituals and divination. So probably the whole back half of the book is going to be dedicated to those two things. But at the front, I want to have general information, ethics and beliefs, wheel of the year, general practice, tools and candles, astrology and tarot, and just a few pages for extra bits and pieces. I'm not putting any of my moon stuff in here, it's all going in here, other than just a brief explanation of the way of the 4 moons, you know. The rest is going in here. So this is kind of a second part, a section all on its own that is dedicated to moons. And it's a similar setup. It's going to have general information, it's going to have the moons and their spats, what the correspondences are for each one, a big chunk for spells and rituals, and then all the main correspondences at the back. And I'll also put things like quotes and writings and stuff like that in here that I've found, because I've got a big collection of them to do with the moon. And then this book, this has, I will show you here, what I've done is I've taken, I've got my gloves on because my hands are so cold. I couldn't move earlier, I was freezing, it's like -4 outside, it's ridiculous. Anybody would think it was winter. Right, I've just got plain dividers in here at the moment. I'm going to pretty these up. But like I said, I didn't want to turn it into a major project. I'll just do these like odd bits and pieces as and when I find stuff. Oh, it's upside down. Turned it round the wrong way. So here I've got an astrology section, which is what it sounds like. An animals section. I'm getting very into totem animals and shamanistic stuff. That's something that I'm researching at the moment. So, and astrology is what I've just finished learning, and I'm ready to get practicing with it. Animals is what I'm researching at the moment, and then I've got divination, general divination, you know, like pendulums and stuff, and tarot, because I do have a general interest in divination, so I figured give it its own section for other kinds of divination, because I'd like to eventually learn things like the I Ching and stuff. But the reason I want to do animals is because I want to learn like guided spirit journeys and stuff like that. Then I've got a spells section, and at the back here I've got correspondences. And in my correspondences I have used an A to Z. It's actually not an A to Z, it's a January to December, and I've got 2 letters for each one with XYZ, UVW and XYZ at the end. because those are going to be quite small sections, I should imagine. But I ran out of orange tape. I'm just waiting for some more to come in. So I don't mind having orange and red combined, but I can't have two that are the wrong colours. That will drive me crazy. No, I'll have to wait until I get the orange ones. So in here, for example, I've got some information on mirrors in regard to feng shui, which is something that I want to look into more, because I do, obviously with doing divination, I do scrying. And then the front here, I've basically just set up loads of notepaper. But instead of just grabbing loads of this stuff, I've got different things. So I've got, oh, that's my dashboard. I've got, oops, I didn't rip it, it's meant to come out. Ooh. Talk amongst yourselves. There we go. So here I've got bits of scrapbook paper, and I've kind of kept it to a neutrally theme at the moment until I decide exactly what I want to do with it. Until I decide how I want to decorate these things, whether I want to paint them or whether I want to draw on them or whether I want to scrapbook on them or do a bit of everything. I've just kept very neutral colours. So I've got, for instance, basic grey. I've got some different coloured Filofax pages, 4 different colours there from the pastel range, or fashion range I think they call it now. I've got some basic, some loose leaves that I had from my Midori book, where I'd taken those other pages out of my Midori. I've had these spare, so I've inked those up and shoved them in. Nina 771118, ideabook.z. If you know her, Nina Larson, that's her name, Nina Larson. She's got me into inking again. Anybody who knows me from my scrapbook days will know that I'm a bit kind of ink all the things, you know. And I just don't think things look finished unless I've got inking around the edge. I can't stick a piece of paper down like that. I've got to ink it. I have to. And I quite like the idea of having this as a bit of a mishmash, kind of like it's been thrown together off little bits of paper that I've found and written on. So this is all just odd bits of paper that I had. I got one of Artsyville's stickers in there, bits of scrapbook paper and craft paper and plain printer paper that I've inked up, bits of envelopes. This is part of a cream notebook that I had. More bits of, that's a bit of blotting paper actually. So yeah, just all sorts of bits and things. That's one of Robin Marie Smith's Moo cards. I just stuck it on there. I didn't know what else to do with it, so I stuck it on there. It's pretty. It'll do. Thumbprints. Actually, I think that's a cat print. I don't think that's a thumbprint. I think that was the cat walked across me. I've done a little bit of stamping in pretty colours. I finally found a use for all my stamps and inks. I just randomly picked up. I've got a random set. I think I was sent it by a friend. By the same friend who sent me my tarot cards, actually, and she sent me a whole set of astrological stamps like this. This is the sun. But I've got the moon, I've got Saturn, I've got Jupiter, all sorts of different things. Comets and all sorts. So, yeah, as you can see, I haven't written anything in here yet. This is an ongoing thing. As I'm collecting stuff now, I will start writing it in. But I don't want to turn it into a big project. It's just going to be somewhere to store stuff, and I'll do this as I go along. But I wanted to get a few pages inked up ready so that I've got something to write on. And it's very inspiring to use. I spent a lot of time with this over the weekend, deciding what I was going to put in it, inking up pages. I just want to be getting in there and playing with it. So yeah, that's my workbook of shadows, and my pens. I've just got my favourite rollerballs. I love these rollerballs. They're like £1 in Wilko's, but they're so smooth to write with, and they're a lovely fine point. I really like them. And I've got a black Colito because that's what I draw with. Oh, and in the back here I've got some more papers, just random papers. None of these are inked up. They're just random papers that I had that I've thrown in. And then I've got a plastic wallet here. Now this was this was originally an A4 wallet, and I cut it in half and punched holes down the open side, and that means I've got two now, two A5 wallets that fit. I've got the other one in my workbook. And I've got all sorts of pretty bits of paper and stuff in here that I can grab anytime I want and stick on pages. And, you know, I don't want it to be all neutral. I want it to have a little bit of life to it. But I want to get some more of these like watercolour-y type papers. And I'll probably make some of my own as well. And of course I've got a pad in the back. I've also got a little set of these. There are all sorts of things in here. There's like postcards and library card inserts and little envelope things, all sorts of stuff in there that I can just grab and use for whatever. So that is my workbook of shadows. I can pull this out anytime I'm studying something, or you know, if I find something in a book that I want to write down, or if I'm going to work on a spell or a ritual, or I just want to look up some correspondences. It can all go in here, and later on I can sort it out into my main book of shadows and make it look pretty in there. But in the meantime, it looks pretty in here. So that's that one. Now my book of moons is purely my moon magic, and to go with it I've got this. This is my Ray Dory, made for me by the lovely Ray Blake. It's beautiful. It's very, very, very beautiful. It's got my fox on it, of course. I've got a lot of these different fox charms. I'm a sucker for fox charms. Every time I see one I've got to buy it, and then I have to find something to do with it. It's got a little elven leaf on it. It's got jingly bells, cat bells. They're from my bear, my familiar. He's no longer with us. Gypsy's my familiar now. Bless her. For those of you who aren't aware of familiars, a familiar is kind of an animal that allows you to use their strength for things. And obviously Gypsy's had a lot of healing to do since she came here. But lately she's just come out of herself so much. And of course she arrived the day after Bear died. She literally arrived in the afternoon that I took him down to the vet to be cremated. And yeah, she stayed, and it never even occurred to me that she could be Bear's replacement. But then, you know, one day it just occurred to me. It was just the way she acted. And I said to her, "Do you want to be Mummy's magic wolfie?" And she just went, and she was jumping up and down and wagging her tail. It was so cute. So I think that's a yes. Anyway, we'll talk about stuff like that later on. But yeah, I think she's my new familiar now. My little gypsy wolf. I've got, moving back to my Midori, before my battery dies, I've got a little moon bookmark here, a brass moon, which I thought was very appropriate. And I've got one that's kind of I don't know if you can see it, but it's kind of a pressed herb thing in a bevel. It's really pretty anyway. I haven't done anything in this at all. I've got a few of those, I got a few of those pages from the little girl book, because I thought, you know, I might be able to write some stuff on there as well. I've got a picture that Shazam sent me this. It's just a greetings card, and I stuck it to my craft wallet. I've put some decoration on here, but not a lot. I've got my Buddha and my Bast, which is my representation of the goddess and god. And I've got sections set up. I've got 4 books in here. I've got the Midori Lightweight 128 page, and that is labelled as reading. It actually probably should have been media, because it's for reading notes, YouTube notes, audiobook notes, all sorts of stuff. Whatever I'm currently reading or watching or doing, any notes I want to make I will put in there, including quotes I want to collect and things like that. Then I've got a plain Midori notebook, which is thoughts, which of course this is kind of third party, other people's thoughts, and this is mine, what I think about things. Then I've got this one, which, because it's so funny, Real Magic. Parking for witches only. All others will be towed. Towed. Get it? Towed. I know, it's sad. But I just love this. I just love this picture. It's so funny. And I've got a black cat and a little puppy in a witch's costume. I want to be able to have fun in these, and have my other ones as a little more serious that I can use for spells and rituals. And these just something that's a bit more fun to play in, that will encourage me to use them and encourage me to, you know, actually study and actually write down things instead of just not. Speaking of study, this one is study. So that could be anything from, at the moment obviously I'm studying my fox totem for the year. I've been looking into what books to read for shamanic things. I'm also investigating pantheism and panentheism. I always get them mixed up, but I'm not sure that they're right for me, but they're interesting and I want to read a little bit more about them. So I've got some book recommendations in there, that kind of thing, you know. And at the back here, little Buddha with some candles and stuff. I've got ideas, and yeah, that can be all sorts of things. Ideas, things that I want to do for, ideas I have for rituals, things I want to look up, things I want to investigate, things I want to research, things I want to read, things I want to do with my Book of Shadows. At the moment it's got my list of videos that I want to do for you guys in there. I've just dropped one of my booklets, one of my bookmarks, that's what happened there. So yeah, I've got 4 booklets in there. And of course, you know I love my Midoris. I absolutely adore them. So yeah, I think I will probably use this a lot. So that is what I'm using while I'm setting up my Books of Shadows. I will be back next week to show you what I'm going to use for my actual Book of Shadows and tell you a little bit more about what I'm hoping to achieve with them and what I want to do. For this week, those of you in the group, or those of you not in the group but playing along, if you already have information collected, you need to go through it, sort out what you want to keep, get rid of what you don't want to keep, and sort out some kind of system for storing it and using it as information for your Book of Shadows. I will put this information down below. 2, for those who have no information at all, go and start looking for some. You have a slightly bigger job than most people, than those who've already got information. You're going to have to go and find what information you need, and then read it, and then decide if it's for you, and if it's not, find something else. And you know, you've got a whole learning process to go through. So for you, this kind of thing is going to be perfect, because until you decide, you know, basic things like is Wicca for you, or are you pagan, or are you just a witch, or are you into voodoo, or whatever, you know. Or if you're doing some kind of religious guide, you know, what do you want to do your religious guide on, then this is going to help you, because you'll be able to just put things in there. You can play with it, you can make it decorative, you can draw silly pictures, you can use silly stickers, and then when you come to put it in your proper Book of Shadows, you can make it a little bit more formal if you want to, or you can simply transfer stuff from there into your Book of Shadows. In the group, I'm going to put up a list of books that I recommend for beginners in the craft, which will help you decide whether you want to follow the Wiccan route or not. I always suggest starting with the Wiccan route and moving away from it, because it's it's difficult to explain it without sounding condescending, but it's easier to come from a place that has a set moral code, like Wicca has, and then branch off and decide which bits of it are right for you and which bits aren't, than it is to come from a place where you have to make up your own moral code and your own ethics, and then you decide later actually that's not working for you and you've got to fit somebody else's mould. It's much harder to move that way. So it's much easier to start with Wicca and move away from it if it's not for you, than it is to start wandering around in the ether and then try and fit yourself into a box later. Start in the box and branch out later if that's what suits you, and if it doesn't, then that's fine, you can work within the box with what you've got. Do make use of Kelly. She's around to help you with working out what you want to put in your Book of Shadows. So basically, this list, once you've got your information, or you've at least got a list of information that you want to go and look up if you're a beginner, you know, if you're really into gardening, here's a simple tip, okay? If you absolutely adore gardening and you love to cook, herbology is a no-brainer, really. You grow your own herbs, make your own food, do your own spells in the kitchen. Why is that even a question, okay? Look at what you're really into, what interests you. Do you want to learn astrology? Do you love astrology? Do you want to learn tarot? Do you want to learn divination? Do you like pretty crystals? And you want to learn about those? You know, there's a plethora of stuff out there. Start with something relatively easy that you can get your teeth into, learn a lot about, and then move on to something else. And while you're doing that, learn about the background of it. That's what I suggest anyway. Obviously, you don't have to do it that way if you don't want to. That's just my suggestion. But this list of what I've decided I want in my book, that's what Kelly can help you with from a Wiccan side, because she knows all the bits. You'll notice I don't have anything like, oh yes, I must have the read in here, and I must have a book blessing, and I must have this, and I must have that. Yes, of course I will do a book blessing. My book is going to be a magical tool, but I won't have a read in there, or at least not the Wiccan read, because I don't believe in the Wiccan read. I'm not Wiccan. I may have mentioned that before. Anyway, this list is what Kelly can help you with. And once you've decided what kind of area you want to start looking at, or perhaps if you've got a lot of information and you want to whittle it down a little bit, she can help you with that, and she can help you working out where your strengths lie and what might interest you and what path to start with. And likewise, if you are not doing a Book of Shadows and you want to do something completely different, we've got quite a few people who are doing Book of Light, with like positive affirmations and stuff, gratitude things and stuff like that, which is a lovely idea. I really like that idea. She can help you if you're stuck for ideas for that, but you'd really like to do it, then she can help you with that as well. She's a brilliant creative genius who'll come up with lists and lists and lists. Likewise, if you want to learn more about Wicca, she is more than happy to point you in the right direction. However, I must stress this, and I stress this on behalf of absolutely anybody in the group who is willing to offer assistance to somebody else who wants assistance. Don't expect to just come begging for stuff from us, okay? We're not going to just hand you our Book of Shadows and let you copy out of it. We're not going to just hand you spells and say, here you go. It's irresponsible for a start. We believe in what we do. We believe in the power of what we do. And we don't believe in handing that power over to a complete novice who has absolutely no idea what they're doing, and leaving them to mess about with it. That's irresponsible. None of us will do that. So please, for the sake of everybody, so that I don't have to kick anybody out of group if they start doing it, because I will. Don't think for 1 second I won't. Because I class it as harassment. Do not start PMing members saying, have you got a spell for this? Have you got a spell for that? Can you tell me about this? Can you tell me about that? No. Okay? No. Your first port of call should be either me, PM me by all means, and ask me a question. If I say no, I mean no. If I can't help you, I will do my best to point you towards somebody in the group who can, because we've got a lot of different traditions. We've got Laura, who's pagan, so she knows a lot about that side of it. We've got Anna, who is kind of a mishmash of absolutely everything, you know, and we're all nice people. We're all happy to point you in the right direction, but we're not just going to hand over years and years and years of what it's taken us to learn by hard graft so that you can just have a pretty book. That's not going to happen. If you want pretty things to put in your book, then you need to go and find them. By all means, if you find, you know, there's magazines and things out there, there's books out there that have spells in them. By all means, if you see one that you think, oh, that's pretty, or that's really nice, you know, make a wish on a candle kind of spells. You know, those are simple, easy things to do for beginners. you can't really go wrong with something like that, you know? If you want to wish that a business trip goes well, there's nothing wrong with lighting a candle and writing a wish and doing a little bit of very, very simple candle wishing. That's candle magic, that's fine. You really can't get into any trouble with anything like that, as long as you're doing positive stuff, obviously. You shouldn't be doing anything else, really. But, yeah, you really do need to do your own research and do your own work, basically. Because people like myself and Kelly and Laura, we've been doing this a long time. We don't use spells out of books anymore, we write our own. And we write our own because we understand the correspondences and we understand what using this particular colour of candle means, or doing it on this particular night of the year means, or using it on this particular night of the moon and what effect that's going to have, you know. We understand all that. And if you don't, then you're not having our spells. And even if you did, you'd have to be really, really nice to us for us to share. And I don't know about Kelly, but certainly in my case, you can't be nice enough to me for me to share my spells. It's not going to happen. However, that doesn't mean you can't ask for advice. If you are at that stage where you've done the basics and you're creating a spell and you want to do a certain thing, but you're not quite sure, you know, should I put this herb or that herb? Or, by all means, you know, PM us and say, well, you know, I've got this choice to do this, or I've got this choice to do that, and I'm really not sure what will work best with this that I've chosen, and I really want to use that. Then by all means, you know, ask for advice. Ask in the group for advice. Somebody will give you an idea. If you want to know, you know, what's a really good starter book for whatever, PM the person who happens to be into that kind of thing and ask them. By all means, I'm sure they'll be happy to say, you know, here's a really good book that I recommend, or anything by this author is pretty good. Look for books that have got this kind of content in. We've got no problem with that, but don't start begging. You won't be welcome if you start begging. It's not classy. Don't do it. There's a big difference between learning and asking for advice and begging for content. And beggars, no. No. No, 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 no. No. Anyway, just wanted to get that out there. We haven't had any trouble with it yet. However, it's a small group at the moment, and mostly we know each other, and, you know, mostly it's people that are not beginners, or it's people that are not doing a Book of Shadows in the first place, so they're not even interested in that, they're talking about other stuff. I think we've got one girl who's doing a Book of Angels, which is cool. Oh, and somebody else has joined us her tradition is Catholic and Native American. What a mix! Ah, it's fascinating, because of course the Native American aspect is all the spirit guides and animals and all that kind of thing, and shamanistic style, and then Roman Catholicism is, I mean, basically it's the closest you're going to get to pagan religions. All the religious pomp and ceremony and ritual, and oh, it's fantastic. What an awesome book that's going to be. I hope she's going to share. Anyway, getting back on to what we're talking about. Yes, that is your homework for this week, is to kind of try and get organised about what you want to do, where you want to go, what you want to put into your book, and have some kind of working something. I mean, it could be a notepad, it doesn't matter. Some kind of working something where while you're making your book and putting it together, you can still continue to collect information. So I will see you next week with my Book of Shadows and Book of Moon. See you then. Bye.